today is the continuation of the build of the AMAX CNC router. So I've just done some marking out, and we're going to continue with some drilling, and hopefully by the end of this video we're going to have the Y-axis and chassis assembled. So the way in which I'm building this is with the standard handyman woodworker in mind. You do not need any special tools to make a decent CNC router. Now, on the previous video, and if you haven't seen the previous video on this build, you might want to go and have a look at it, where I showed you how I cut up all this aluminium to length from bar stock, and it's very, very easy to do if you're careful. Okay, so go and have a look at that video. Now, to drill everything and mark everything out. Now, prior to filming, I've actually marked this out. This is the front and back plate. This is now ready for drilling, and I got the two clamped together with just some standard clamps that you can get from any hardware store, and you may already have them. And what else I use in this case is O-ring clamps, or you can use ordinary type of woodworkers clamps like this, but I use O-ring clamps because they're very quick and easy to use, and almost every handyman woodworker has them. But you can use G-clamps, any type of clamps, providing you can sort of hold one piece to another. Now, in this case, this is the linear guide rail and the main chassis support. So what I've done is I've laid the both of them down flat on my bench, okay, because what I wanted to achieve was to have that flat edge there all the way down. Okay, it's slightly off to one side, but that's okay, that doesn't matter. What I'm after is a parallel attachment to this chassis member. Okay, so all I've done is laid it on the bench, clamped it with some O-ring clamps. Now I'm going to bring it out to about there and clamp the whole assembly to my bench. So now you have it firmly located onto your bench. And now, because these are all pre-drilled through the linear rail, but I need to transfer that hole into this Y-axis chassis member. And to do that, I'm just going to use a standard cordless drill. Now, these are the little caps head screw bolts that I'm going to use to attach this linear square rail to this chassis member, and they are 6mm. Now, these are a very handy tool. A lot of you may already own one. You can pick them up for less than $50. You don't have to have a very expensive one from your local hardware store. And that's telling me it's a 6mm. I do everything in millimeters. All the materials in millimeters, but you can actually convert that to imperial, and you don't have to use the exact same size that I'm using. You can use a 1/4 inch if you wanted to. So what I'm doing is, where are we? I think I am. Just make sure that is a 6mm. And it is. So I'm going size for size because I know the hole in here is around 6mm, just over 6mm, but that will give me you know, a good start. I can transfer the hole into this material quite accurately. So what I'm saying is you don't want a tap-in size, okay? You want the clearance size to get an accurate hole through. So you don't have to do any measuring, any accurate measuring, because these holes are already pre-drilled in this linear rail. So to transfer it, you just a couple of millimeters in. That's all you do, and you go all the way down it to transfer the hole into here. And then I've got another very cheap little tool that will take care of drilling it all the way through. So there, all the holes are accurately marked, so I can drill them now all the way through. I'm just going to do the same job to the other one, and then we will drill these all the way through, and I'll show you the tool to do that. Incidentally, the type of tools that I am using through this build is steel rule. I use a 12-inch or 300mm rule, and a 6-inch, which is a 150mm rule. Engineer square, but you could also use a pretty standard woodworker's square, provided it's square. Vernier. Quite a lot of you probably will have a center punch. I use a little tiny hammer. Don't use a big hammer. You're working in sort of aluminium. Just want a bit of a start. But file, fairly fine, flat file. I use that to get the burrs off, and what have you. And again, Irwin clamps. Set of metal drills. Okay, there is a difference. But I suppose wood drills would do it, but get a purpose set of metal drills. They're fairly cheap and pretty standard rule. But what I'm trying to show you is you don't need any expensive workshop engineering equipment to build one of these. You know, it's pretty simple when you know how. So this is what I use to do most of my drilling on the bench. It's a lot easier than trying to hang on to the drill and press. You need something to give you, you know, sort of an accurate hole down through your material. Holding it by hand, you know, you're going to either move slightly and make the hole oversized, or you're going to go at a slight angle. This ensures you, you know, sort of drill it fairly accurately, square. Now this is a drill press that I've had for more than 40 years. It's a Bosch unit. It's a German Bosch unit. It says it's a Fras Bohrstander, which roughly translates to drill press, I think. Alright, so then what you need to do is be able to hold your piece that you want to drill horizontally, level. Okay, so you need something at one end, because this is quite heavy. This probably weighs about 5 kilos, not too bad, I suppose. So you need to, I use blocks of wood, which is fine. 2 blocks this end, because I know that this is now the same height. So separate it apart, pop it on there, and I know that this is 90 degrees and held nice and flat to this. And a tool that I use in this is a, sort of it's called an Ozito, it's, home brand type thing. But the big thing with this is it has metal gears inside, not nylon. So you're not going to strip them. Just pop that in there like that. And tighten that up. Great. Now, this is a 6mm bolt, okay? So the drilling tap-in size then is approximately 5mm. You can actually get charts on the internet that tells you exactly what to, or what the specific size would be, but I find that a 5mm drill, if you drill it, and I use 2 types of taps. I use a starting tap, which is a tapered tap, and then I use a finishing tap, and I'll show you all about those. Put it in the wrong drill. So, we'll put it in the right one. Okay. So now we've got to ensure that we can actually drill all the way through. In this case it won't, so I have to adjust it. It's got a return spring on the back here, an adjustment knob that you can adjust how far it comes down and retracts. So that is why I use the linear rail with its holes already drilled, clamped it to this and partly drilled in here, so I can just very quickly, without having to, without the need then to mark out centre part, all these is done for you. When you're doing any job like this, you want it done accurately, okay? But you build yourself in a certain amount of wiggle room. Now, wiggle room, as I'm sure you probably know, is the amount of adjustment area that you give yourself. And that'll all come into play when we start to assemble and then start to put the gantry on and all that sort of thing. And you'll see how the wiggle room plays out. Okay, so this is cut in aluminium, and you need it to spin fairly fast. And when you're cutting aluminium or drilling aluminium, not cutting necessarily, but certainly drilling, I tend to use, let me get this on there, WD-40. I find is the best stuff. This and paraffin actually is pretty good as well. It keeps the drill cool, and it stops the material welding to the end of the drill, and it assists the cutting as well. So what I do is put a little drop of that on there to start with. Start the drill up, and I'm going to do something called peck drilling. And all peck drilling is like a bird. Okay? So you go in, so if I go in a couple of millimeters, or you know, sort of between a 16th and 18th of an inch, and you bring it all the way back out, and then you go back in for another 16th to 1/8 of an inch, or 3 millimeters, whichever measurement you use, and then you pull it back out. And on the second cut, I normally give it another squirt of this. And you do that for the full process all the way through on all the holes. Gonna take some time, probably a good half an hour or more for me to drill all these, so I'll just demonstrate on the first one. Okay, so start it up. Okay, now this is the method that I use to cut a thread into certainly aluminium. You can cut a thread into mild steel like this, but you just got to be a little bit more careful. So I've got a Bosch drill, cordless drill. In this case it's a 18 volt, pretty good unit. I've got it set on the low speed, high torque setting. I've got it done up real tight. Now we've got to cut a thread in this 25 millimeter, which is an inch of aluminium, to put this bolt in. Now don't be too hasty with this process, alright? Otherwise you're going to snap the tap off inside and pretty well buggered then. So a little bit of WD-40, and what you want to try and do is hold the drill and sight it, so you want to be as upright as you possibly can. Okay, and then just start it, a little bit of downward pressure. So it's starting to go in, and you can see it's starting to cut here. I'll bring you in a bit closer. So just take it in about 2 or 3 turns and see the swarf building up there. Then back it off. That'll break the swarf. And then go in a few more turns. Back it off. A few more. Back it off. It's a lot easier for you to tap or cut a thread into a hole, you know, sort of an inch of aluminium using that method. And what it is, you know, sort of using a hand method, you know, you would be there all day doing it. But, you know, it's going to take me to do all of these maybe possibly in half an hour, something like that. Whereas if I was doing it by hand, it would take me probably 2 to 3 hours. So you know, you've got to make life easier for yourself. Okay, so off camera I'll thread all of these, and then we'll go to the next stage, which is drilling the ends of here and the end of this, because I'm actually going to be using the strength of the linear guide rail to brace everything up as well. So we have 3 attachment points, 1, 2, and the center of this, which would be 3 just there, to attach each corner of the CNC router or the chassis for the Y-axis.